Hey Insulators, we are with Bugy's Pest Solutions. This is Zach Bernstein and he owns a CM1500. Now this CM1500 is one of three models. This is the single blower model. But what we're going to do is right now take a walk around and show you how to understand the machine, how to turn it on, and also what to look for while it's running. This has a drop down slide. You're able to cut your cellulose bags and your fiberglass bags, cut them in half, and then put them into the hopper. So this gives you a nice loading shelf, and when you have a full hopper and the material is wanting to overflow, you can just easily set that back up. And over here on the front is the control panel. Now this is going to be what you're mainly going to be concerned about throughout the operation and startup of the machine. It gives you the option to turn your air on only, and you're going to want air on only when you're at the end of your job and you want to clear the hose out. So that's what that's for. And when you're on the off position, nothing's happening obviously, but you can turn it to feed. Now what feed does is it turns the augers and the blowers, so you're not only blowing air, you're also feeding that airlock with the material. For the most part, when you're operating this machine, it's going to be off at the beginning of the job, and when you're ready to go, turn it on feed. Now these machines easily blow 100 to 150 feet of hose. On these machines there are blower controls. You can dial the blower back or you can increase the speed of the blower. For instance, if you have cellulose, it's a heavier material. You're going to want to turn your blower up quite a bit if you have 150 feet, probably all the way. If you're doing fiberglass, you may not need as much, so you can turn it back down a little bit. How you can tell is in the attic when you're blowing, and you're blowing fiberglass and it looks like you're in a snow globe and everything's sticking to the walls and trusses, that means you have too much air. So you're able to turn your air down a little bit here. With cellulose, if you find that it's just barely slumping out the end of the hose, that means there's not enough air, and so you'll use this to turn it up. Understanding this rheostat, high is 7 and 0 is low, but in order to turn this off, you actually have to turn it up on high and then click one more time, and then that's off. All of the machines come with a wired remote. The wired remote works just the same way as the toggle switch. You have an off, then you have a feed, and then you also have air only. Your remote plugs directly into this control panel. The CM1500 has two pigtails that come off, and in this case, since it's a single blower, you're going to have a 15 amp and another 15 amp pigtail. You definitely need to use two different circuits. So a great way to find two different circuits is to choose like a garage and then the outside walls, or a garage and then the kitchen, or a kitchen and then the bathroom. They're all kind of divided up between the circuits if they're wired properly. And these are illuminated, so they'll show either a green or a red light, which means they're both being powered up. When they have one of those lights on, you're good to go. Now sometimes you're going to find that one is green and one is red, and the difference is this. The red one means that there's just no ground in the wiring system that is providing power to this. You can still use the machine, no problem. It just means that there's a ground problem with the wiring in that particular house. We had a problem here with the agitator, and this tells you right away what the problem is. We have a green light for this cord, but this cord is not lit up at all, which tells us we've tripped the breaker inside or on a generator. From the control panel, you have on this machine two plugs that go into the base. On the HP version, you're going to have three. It's real easy for some of these to come a little bit loose. So let's say you're set up, you've got the machine on, and your agitator's not working. The first thing to do is to check to make sure that your agitator is firmly plugged in. Sometimes there's a little bit of material that can get in here and cause a bad connection. All you need to do is just blow the material out and then plug it back in. When operating the machine, if you have a bunch of wrapper go into the machine by accident, or if you drop your cell phone or a knife, don't try to just go off feed and air. Don't worry about that button. Come over here and quickly punch that in. That will stop everything immediately. If you're all set up and you're plugged in and the ends of your cords are illuminated and you have power to the machine and you can't understand why the machine won't turn on, chances are maybe during transit or when somebody was walking by the machine, they accidentally pushed that in. So if you're not able to operate your machine, that's one of the first things to check. The control panel on this machine offers you the ability to get to all of the safety features quickly. Embedded in the control panel are fuses. And these fuses allow you to quickly see if your agitator tripped or if your blower tripped. And then you're able to find out what's going on. Maybe you've got a big clump of insulation that stopped your agitator. Maybe there's a knife that fell in there that jammed your agitator, or a piece of wood. This will pop out. So investigate, see what may have caused that. And then when you determine that, then you can push this back in and it should operate fine. You'll notice that on your control panel you have some outlets that are pretty standard. One is labeled IWS and the other one is labeled auxiliary. IWS is for a plug that goes to the internal wetting system. If you have an internal wetting system, that's what you're going to plug in here. This auxiliary plug is also designed for our wireless remote. So you would put the wireless remote transformer into this socket. If you don't have a wireless, then you can use this for charging up your cell phones or whatever. If you need help with your machine in determining whether you need more airlock seals or if you need a new blower, all you need to do is to locate the serial number. It's above the control panel near the top lip of the hopper. That serial number is important. That will tell me whether you have a 13 amp blower or a 9 amp blower combination or a 1313. It also tells me the size of your airlock so we can send you the right airlock seals. This machine has a slide gate that opens up. Now this slide gate is designed to allow you to control the amount of material that gets blown through the hose. So when you're doing an attic, normally you're just going to have this pulled wide open. That way the most amount of material is going to go into the airlock and through the hose. There are times though that you will want to close this airlock, but not all the way. For instance, if we close it down to about 4 inches, then you're able to put material into a wall system. Because if you're blowing into a wall system, you don't want that much material going in at once. You want that much material. Each hole here represents 1 inch. So if you want to put 4 inches of material in using a dense pack tube that's a really small one, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll have 4 holes that are exposed. If you want to increase it to 6 inches, 5, 6. So that's what these holes stand for. So this gives you the ability to change how much material you're blowing out. When you're done with the job, it's a great recommendation to push this all the way in. Because during travel, what can happen is a bag of insulation will fall down on that and bend that. Also, people walking by may even be tempted to step on it. So always have that pushed in when you're done with your job. Because the machine has blowers inside the cabinet underneath, Cool Machines has 3 vents for fresh air to be brought into those blowers. And that's what is here. On the machine, these can be provided. You can take a hose and go through the floor system if you wanted to. These are the filters. They easily pull out. They're 1 inch thick. And at the end of the job, brush these off. You can also use an air hose to blow this out as well. Make sure that these are clean. And of course, on the back side, it's really good, but make sure that these are clean, because if these get dirty and you don't change them out, your blowers will suffer and cause damage. There are 3 filters on this machine. Now they're only 1 inch. They're pretty common blue filters. If you're going to make your own, make sure that you use an iron to singe the edges so that you don't have all the frays coming off of those filters, because that could damage your blowers as well. Or you can buy these filters from me. The output of this machine is located here. And you're going to attach your 3-inch hose on the CM1500 right here with a hose clamp. Don't just try to duct tape that. Always use a hose clamp, because that is the point of where most of the air pressure is going to be in your entire hose length. The CM1500 is designed to be a portable machine. However, you can keep it in your trailer as a standalone machine. Most of our customers do purchase the wheel package. This machine can be rolled around the yard and around the house in case you're having difficulty accessing the attic hole. Every CM1500 comes with a gauge. If you're operating the machine and you notice the gauge wiggling a little bit but not much, don't be alarmed. That gauge is used only really for dense pack purposes. It is also used for you to figure out whether or not your airlock seals need to be changed. We have a couple of playlists on YouTube that show you how to set up your machine for dense pack and drill and fill. One of the most innovative aspects of a cool machine is that you do not have competing rotating arms. All of the action for breaking up your material is at the base of the machine. The reason they're at the bottom is because they're able to break up the material better and to force all of that material into the airlock. Two things to note about these augers. Number one, there can be clumps of hardened fiberglass or cellulose that get in these. Cellulose and fiberglass, it's old, it's been sitting on the shelf for a long time. Can cause you a little bit of a hiccup here and there. Turn the machine off, unplug your machine, and you can easily access the augers. There are 4 quick locks on this. Undo those quick locks with a 1/2-inch socket wrench, and then you're able to take the top off so that you can access the augers directly if you need to. When you are servicing this machine, don't just turn it off and unplug the machine. When you're maintaining your cool machine, it's very simple. One of the main things you're going to want to pay attention to is greasing your machine. You don't have to grease it every week. In Cool Machines manuals, they will have a recommended guideline for maintenance. If you're using your machine a lot, probably every 3 months you'll need to grease this. The grease fittings are located right here on the back side of your machine, as well as in the front of the machine. You're going to take the front grate off of the machine, and then you're going to be able to access these as well. The grease that you're going to need is a high temperature grease. Do not use lithium grease, do not use a low temperature grease. Make sure it's a high temperature. Either a blue or red are usually high temperature greases. With every CM1500, you're going to receive a small toolbox, and in that is a voltmeter, also a nut driver, an extra master link for your chains. This is a very good thing to keep with you with your machine just in case you need to access the machine, do your hoses, or run into any problems. When your machine is delivered to you, make sure that you look down into the hopper to make sure everything is out of the hopper. Usually they'll put hoses in here, sometimes a wireless unit if you ordered a wireless unit. In order to turn the machine on, turn one blower on and make sure you're plugged in, make sure that your hose is connected, and make sure that the emergency stop button is released. From there, you can control it via the panel, or a wired remote, or a wireless. In order to turn the machine off, we recommend that you run a little bit of air through the hose to clear the hose out. When the hose is clear, you just turn the machine off. The CM1500 is a very easy machine to maintain. You can maintain this in the field using simple tools that you'll find in a regular toolbox. If you ever have any questions, you need help and assistance, give me a call. I'm available through phone call, text, WhatsApp, FaceTime. So however you need to get a hold of me, we can help you. This is Barry with InsulationMachines.net. Not only do we offer equipment sales, we offer technical support and on-site training. Contact us today if you need our help.